1. First, Cooper, 1.2T/1.5T R3, B38. Cooper S, John Cooper Works, 2.0T R4, B48. The most common gasoline turbo engine on the secondary market is 1.2T/1.5T R3, B38. Versions with 2.0T R4, B48, are less common. There are relatively few diesel versions, both with 3, B37, and 4 cylinders, B47. In mid-2019, all diesel engines were removed from the range of hatchbacks and convertibles. They remain available in Clubman and Countryman. All engines are developed by BMW, belong to the modular B family and have some common components. The timing drive in all engines is chain. It is located on the gearbox side. The problematic Prince gasoline engines, jointly developed by BMW and Peugeot, known from their predecessor, are a thing of the past. They were replaced by B38 and B48. In the B38, until the spring of 2015, there were problems with the crankshaft thrust bearing. There was a knocking noise, clearly noticeable when cold. The disease affected mainly 136 horsepower engines. The thrust bushings or even the entire engine had to be replaced. However, this motor is less problematic than the Prince. Until the end of 2017, the 1 First and 1 versions used the 1.2 B38 engine. Then both were replaced by the 1.5 variant of the same power, 75 and 102 horsepower, respectively. Overall, the B38 engine, 1 First, 1 and Cooper, is quite sufficient for everyday driving, and in the more powerful version, Cooper, it can even provide a little fun. At the same time, the engine does not ask for too much. Average consumption is usually 6.5 to 8 L/100 km. Gasoline engines of the B48 series, Cooper S, JCW, GP, have received good reviews so far. Coolant or oil leaks occur in B38 and B48. In the first case, the heat exchanger is to blame, in the second, the oil filter housing, valve cover gasket or camshaft seals. The latest versions of gasoline units have received a GPF particulate filter. Turbo diesels did not avoid the problem encountered in BMW, EGR valve radiator leakage. A fluid leak could cause a fire in the engine compartment. Pure glycol does not ignite, but when mixed with deposits in the intake tract, it becomes dangerous. Symptoms of a malfunction are loss of coolant and the smell of exhaust gases in the cabin. You can check the VIN number to find out if your vehicle is eligible for the free EGR module replacement service. Some vehicles were covered by a preventive maintenance program, under which an official service center would check the module and, if a leak was detected, the part would be replaced free of charge. Otherwise, the client paid for the diagnostics. I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro. In B37, the EGR valve itself could have failed. In younger diesel engines, the AdBlue exhaust gas purification system sometimes fails. The boxes are quite reliable. However, in the early years there were references to the first gear popping up in a manual transmission, and in older automatic transmissions the gearbox did not see the selector in the P, parking, position. The suspension continues to be a multi-link setup at the rear. The springs are still quite stiff. Those who want more comfort can recommend options with adaptive shock absorbers. The difference in green and mid modes is noticeable, especially compared to the sport mode and passive suspension. The Mini F series, as before, has very lively and direct steering. On the one hand, the car willingly changes its trajectory, on the other, some people find it too nervous. The increased weight, compared to its predecessors, did not affect handling. The Mini F is still at the top of the segment. However, there are those who appreciate the lighter and more cart versions of the R5X. Wishbone silent blocks. Front shock absorbers. Rear shock absorber supports. In addition, the outer CV joint could become noisy. When visually inspecting a Mini, pay attention to detail. On some cars, the chrome around the headlights begins to peel off. There have also been cases of paint damage due to friction against the rubber door seal. The interior stands up well to time. Although some users complain, for example, about knocking and crackling noises, the progress compared to its predecessor is noticeable. There were some minor shortcomings as well. For example, a smartphone may interfere with the keyless entry system, making it impossible to start/stop the engine. Some owners complain about problems with the rear door lock. Sometimes the air conditioning and heated seats fail. The third Mini is a pretty successful model, but there are several points that should be kept in mind during operation. For example, change the oil before the onboard computer recommends it. Or, at the very least, once a year. For servicing, you should find a good workshop that specializes in Mini. The more powerful versions, Cooper S and JCW or Cooper SD, are especially interesting. They are the most perky.